What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Sunday, May 5th, 2024, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now, it is 15:16 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we currently have U.S. nuclear forces on high alert, which is unusual for a Sunday. We currently have two E-6B Mercury nuclear war command and control planes in the air this afternoon. And we also had a presidential doomsday plane take off from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. And it flew southwest towards Oklahoma. And then it turned its transponder off near the Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas border. So that is pretty unusual. And we also had a B-1 strategic bomber take off from Dyess Air Force Base in Abilene earlier this afternoon, and it went northwest shortly after taking off and turned its transponder off. So something is going on, something is brewing. So I wanted to just share that with you, and I want to show you what's going on right now. So here we have the two E-6 Mercuries up in the air. We have one over Missouri. We have one that was just looping over Kansas. And what's very interesting is we have three aerial refuelers that are now doing touch and goes at Tinker Air Force Base. But before doing the touch and goes, they were doing all these loops here over Oklahoma. So something is going on, guys, because Tinker Air Force Base is one of our most important Air Force bases. That's where we have our nuclear war command and control planes. That's their home base. We also frequently keep doomsday planes there, bombers, all different kinds of strategic assets. So very interesting. I don't know if this is an exercise or if something's going on, but I'm going to be monitoring the situation, and if anything happens, I will go live 24/7 if necessary. So I want to start with the latest on Ukraine, and then I'll update you guys on the situation in the Middle East. So Ukraine may ask European allies to send troops to the front lines if Ukraine lacks its own forces. Ukrainian MP Oleksiy Honcharenko said over the weekend, if the situation at the front shows us that Ukraine cannot stop Putin on its own without European military support and troops, yes, I believe it is absolutely possible that we can ask. So that is huge news. Also, we're hearing reports from an ex-Pentagon official, Stephen Bryan, that apparently France has secretly sent its military to Ukraine already. According to him, about 100 Foreign Legion soldiers from the 3rd French Infantry Regiment were stationed in Sloviansk to support the 54th Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, which do artillery and surveillance. In total, it is planned that about 1,500 members of the French Foreign Legion will go to Ukraine. So that is huge news, guys. France sending their elite special ops to Ukraine. Apparently 100 already in Sloviansk, and 1,500 total are expected to be deployed. This is being reported by an ex-Pentagon official, Stephen Bryan. And NATO may intervene in the war in Ukraine if Belarus is involved in the war on Russia's side, or if Russia attacks the Baltic countries, Poland, or Moldova. Italy's Repubblica has reported. Repubblica is one of the larger newspapers in Italy, so that is huge news, guys. And we know that Russia and Belarus have been massing forces on the border of Lithuania, Latvia, and Poland in the last few weeks, and also in the last 2 years. And French President Emmanuel Macron called on the West not to set limits on military support for Ukraine. The security of Europeans is at stake in Ukraine since it is located 1,500 kilometers from our borders. If Russia wins in the next second, there will be no security in Romania, Poland, Lithuania, or our country. The power and range of Russian ballistic missiles puts us all in danger. So strong words there from Emmanuel Macron. And the Financial Times is reporting that Russia is preparing acts of sabotage across Europe as it heads for permanent conflict with the West. And this has already been happening. There was a warehouse with humanitarian aid set on fire in Britain that was supposed to go to Ukraine, that aid, and it was set on fire. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a discount on their 1 month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. This is a 1 month freeze dried food supply. It has a 25-year shelf life. Normal price is $237. They've dropped it down to $177. So that's a savings of $60. And it's all packed within 2 rugged, water resistant buckets. Free shipping is included. $177 for 1 month of food. Where are you going to find a deal like that? They also have a general store, and they're always running discounts in their general store on various prepping and survival items. They have everything from MREs, potassium iodide, to survival seeds. And to get to their general store, you got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. And you'll see when you get there, they have everything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $60 off the My Patriot Supply 1 month emergency food supply. That's $180 for 1 month of food, free shipping included. The link is in the description below this video. And also check out their general store. They have everything you can imagine prepping and survival related, and they're always running various discounts there. In Sweden, there were a number of railway attacks by saboteurs. In the Czech Republic, there was more sabotage of railway signaling. And in Estonia, there was an attack on the car of the head of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. And in Germany, just a few weeks ago, you guys may remember I reported on this. This was the day after the culinary incident. In Germany, an attack on military and logistics facilities was prevented by German secret services. They were hunting for these Russian agents that were trying to attack American bases and logistics facilities. So this is huge news, guys. And Joseph Borrell, the EU's foreign diplomat, made a statement over the weekend about Ukraine. He said, "Today, Putin's Russia is an existential threat to us all. If Putin succeeds in Ukraine, he will not stop there. The prospect of having in Kyiv a puppet government like the one in Belarus, and the Russian troops on the Polish border, and Russia controlling 44% of the world's grain market is something that Europeans should be aware of. We Europeans wanted to create in our neighborhood a ring of friends. Instead of that, we have today is a ring of fire coming from the Sahel to the Middle East, the Caucasus, and now in the battlefields of Ukraine." So strong words there from Joseph Borrell. And Switzerland has invited the Pope to a Ukrainian peace summit. The Swiss president has invited Pope Francis and the Holy See to a summit on the Ukrainian peace formula, which will take place in June this year in Bergenstock, Switzerland. Very interesting that Switzerland would involve the Pope and host this peace summit. Very interesting. And on May 4th, 2024, the Russian Ministry of Defense reported a significant interception of American-made ATACMS missiles. According to the ministry's announcement yesterday, Russian air defense units successfully destroyed 15 ATACMS missiles, with 4 being intercepted over the Crimean Peninsula yesterday on May the 4th. And they're saying they used the Buk M3 air defense system, which is an upgraded version of the original Buk air defense system. So I don't know if that's true or not, but 15 ATACMS is a lot. I do know that the ATACMS missiles have certain countermeasures that help them penetrate air defenses. So we'll have to wait and see if more of these ATACMs get intercepted, and we'll have to wait and see if there's other sources besides just Russian ones claiming that these interceptions are occurring. And on the territory of the Luhansk People's Republic, that's in eastern Ukraine, the Russian occupation authorities are threatening to take away newborns if the parents do not have Russian citizenship. This was stated in a report by the American Institute for the Study of War. And Russia has threatened Denmark with retaliation if Denmark restricts Russian ship movement through the Danish Straits. So things are heating up between Russia and Denmark now. And I want to just share some interesting flight paths here. So what you're looking at is a constant Phoenix plane. This is a nuke sniffer plane. And you can see it's flying off the coast of Madagascar, which is an unusual location for one of these nuke sniffer planes. Normally, they fly these things in Asia to patrol the Korean Peninsula for any nuclear tests. But to have one of these flying near Madagascar in the Mozambique Channel between Mozambique and Madagascar is pretty rare. So it's possible that there's some nuclear subs operating in this area, because I do know that these nuke sniffer planes can detect older nuclear powered vessels. So pretty interesting. And here we have the flight path of a British reconnaissance plane. And what's interesting about this flight path is that it is parallel to Crimea, just offshore of Romania. And these planes have side looking radars. So when it's flying parallel like this, it's basically looking at all of the western part of Crimea, Sevastopol, where the Russian Black Sea Fleet is, and potentially giving targeting information to the Ukrainians. So it's possible we may see more strikes on Crimea tonight or tomorrow or in the coming days if they're running this kind of a path over here. Here we have a U.S. Navy sub-hunter plane that was investigating something off the coast of Syria and Lebanon, specifically Syria. It was flying really low here. You can see the light blue color right off the coast of Latakia in Syria. And so potentially seeing if there's any Russian subs in this area. You know, Cyprus is a major NATO base. Okay, there's a lot of strategic assets in Cyprus, a lot of NATO assets there. So it makes sense they would patrol this area. And want to just update you guys on the situation in Israel. We have some escalations going on over there. It looks like Israel is going to be going into Rafah any day now. I'm hearing this coming Friday, Israel is going to go into Rafah. And when that happens, I will go live to cover it. And the Israeli National Security Advisor, Chachi Hanegbi, said Prime Minister Netanyahu, with the support of all ministers, ordered the Israeli army to carry out an operation in Rafah. The operation will start very soon. So that's the Israeli National Security Advisor confirming that Netanyahu has ordered the beginning of the Rafah operation. And several right-wing Israeli politicians are calling on Prime Minister Netanyahu to order an immediate attack on Rafah after the serious attack on Kerem Shalom. And so this was an attack that came from Rafah. Hamas launched several rockets into Israel. And the Israeli Minister of Defense, Yoav Gallant, said, "We are monitoring indications that Hamas does not agree to the deal, and this means that we will soon launch a military operation in Rafah and other locations." Okay, so I don't think we're just talking about Rafah here. I think Israel's going to go after Hezbollah, and they're going to go into Lebanon soon. And Netanyahu addressed the nation of Israel yesterday. Here are some of the most important things he said. He said, "In the terrible Holocaust, there were great leaders in the world who stood by. So the first lesson of the Holocaust is this: if we don't protect ourselves, no one will protect us. And if we have to stand alone, we will stand alone. Surrendering to Hamas's demands would be a terrible defeat for the state of Israel. It would be a huge victory for Hamas, for Iran, for the entire axis of evil. It would project a terrible weakness both to our friends and to our enemies. Wow, strong words there from Netanyahu. And the Israeli Broadcasting Authority is reporting that a security delegation from Israel will pay a visit to Washington this coming week. The security delegation's visit to Washington will discuss the invasion of Rafah and the process of evacuating civilians from Rafah. So basically last minute preps before they go into Rafah. And I do believe that when Israel goes into Rafah, we're going to see the Muslim world go crazy. I think we could see Iran maybe launch attacks on Israel, either directly or indirectly with proxies. We could see terror attacks across Europe and the US. So we need to be on very high alert this coming summer because of the situation in Israel and also in Ukraine. Okay. The Russians are planning a massive offensive in Ukraine. And I think it's going to start after the Russian Victory Day celebration, which is on the 9th. That's this coming week. And the Biden administration last week put a hold on a shipment of U.S. ammunition to Israel, two Israeli sources told Axios. Wow. So I don't know if that's 100% true or not, but that's what two Israeli officials said to Axios. They said Biden put a hold on shipment of U.S. ammo to Israel. So the U.S. obviously does not want Israel to go into Rafah. They've been trying to do everything possible to stop them from going into Rafah. They sent their diplomats. They've been begging Netanyahu not to go in, but they will go in. And the Iranian warship Shahid Mahdavi, equipped with drones and long range ballistic and cruise missiles, has entered the southern hemisphere, according to Fars News, on May the 4th, without any exact location being given. So, Fars News is an Iranian state media outlet, and they're saying this Iranian warship with both drones and long range missiles, both cruise and ballistics, has entered the southern hemisphere. Very concerning, guys. And the Israeli authorities raided a Jerusalem hotel room used by Al Jazeera as its office after the government decided to shut down the Qatari owned TV station's local operations on Sunday. So Al Jazeera will no longer be able to operate in Israel. And so they raided a hotel room that Al Jazeera was using to broadcast. And Iran is training Hezbollah fighters to carry out drone attacks on northern Israel at a rapidly expanding top secret base, according to the UK Telegraph. The drone facility in Iran has tripled in size since it was set up in 2006, in spite of U.S. sanctions, according to leaked classified IRGC documents. Located just 5 miles from Iran's holy city of Qom, the center under the command of the supreme leader Ali Khamenei has expanded from a runway of 500 meters to 1,500 meters. Okay, that is huge, guys. That's basically a 1 mile runway. So they're bringing in some larger planes if they've expanded it to 1 mile long. And Xi Jinping has arrived in France for an official visit. He's going to hold talks with Emmanuel Macron and the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. Reuters reports that the topic of conversation will be Ukraine and trade between the EU and China. So here we have some footage of Xi Jinping stepping out of his plane with his wife, landing in France. Okay, so this is huge news. And one person was killed at the White House entrance after they tried to ram their car into the barrier. So, very concerning information there. And we currently have multiple solar flares hitting Earth. There were several X class and M class flares over the last 24 hours. An X class flare is the strongest type of solar flare, and we had two of them yesterday. We had an X1.3 and an X1.2, and then there were several medium-sized flares. And so there's a high chance of radio signal degradation, as well as low latitude aurora borealis, that's northern lights. They might be seen as far south as New York or Idaho tonight and tomorrow night, so be on the lookout. Here we have an official press release from the NOAA about this. They're saying that there's going to be a G2 geomagnetic storm starting tomorrow, May the 6th, and there's a G1 geomagnetic storm today. And the strongest geomagnetic storm is a G5. So a G2 is kind of on the lower to middle end of the strength level of a geomagnetic storm. But they say here that the aurora may become visible over some northern and upper Midwest states from New York to Idaho. So very, very interesting. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on this evening with more breaking news. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. And until then, have a good afternoon. Enjoy your Sunday. Thank God for all the blessings in your life. And take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.